Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Glass podcast. Today, we have got episode number 63 for you all, and it is the off season, which means that it is ranking season. As always, we appreciate you for catching it off the glass. That's the new intro. It's a little smooth. As always, for watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you are on audio platforms, you know the drill, 5-star review. Leave us a rating. It's been a little minute, a couple weeks since we last recorded. Took some time, but we're back because the off season is conversation time. It's time to have some tough talks about where some of these guys rank up, man. And I think is probably the biggest shakeup I'd say at the point guard position in a little minute. I think it had been pretty Steph dominated for the last 6-7 years or so. We've seen a lot of the similar type guys at the top. I think this is the most shakeup for that position in a nice little while. So I know we both have lists made. We're not going to get too much extra stuff before. I know sometimes we've done quotes of the week. We are just going to go ahead and get right into these rankings. After I ask you, how you feeling, Dame, bro? How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Been excited. It's been a little minute since the last recorded. Yeah, I mean, had to get Syracuse to the playoffs and the college football game. You know how that goes. So
yeah.
had some responsibilities that we had to handle. But
we had to keep the GPA up.
Had to keep the GPA up.
And ball.
You know what I'm saying? Student athlete. You know what I mean? So no books, no ball. But nah. I'm excited to get into it, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, college football 25 has had a grip on my free time like no game has had in a very long time.
It's insane. I'd be itching to play all day at work.
Itching to play solo player mode.
Bro, I'm single play against the computer, bro. Road to glory. It's crazy, but it's fun, man. It's fun.
Nothing tougher than that CP on Heisman, though. They are
they
move different up there.
Crazy. You playing against the steel curtain.
Great, bro. I swear half the teams I play against is Ed Reed at free safety. They done got Champ Bailey over here, Darrell Revis over here, Ray Lewis in the middle,
Aaron Donald up front. Like we got freaking JJ Watt on the end. Like, bro, it's bad, bro. It's bad.
I sent you the clip earlier, bro. Sacked before my icons came up to pat. I just
couldn't even do nothing.
Predetermined before the play. We was taking the loss.
Getting nano blitz. Shit crazy.
Right. Crazy. Yeah, college football 25 it's the one. It's definitely the one. I feel like a game has not come out and lived up to the hype like that in a good little minute.
It's been a minute. It's definitely been a minute. Normally you get let down a little bit. Nah, it's the one. Like you said, it's the one.
Yeah. 2K25? They coming back or
not even purchasing it. Not purchasing it. Not. I'm playing college football, bro.
I saw that they put out the prices for the pre-order bundles before they even dropped the trailer.
Like, I'm not buying that game, bro. I promise you I'm not buying the game. It is college football. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying Madden. I'm playing college football, and that's it. That's all I'm playing.
That's sick, though. They think the consumer's just dumb. They're just going to mindlessly buy it, bro. We got to stand up, bro.
They will.
Don't support 2K no more.
Mad people going to buy it.
Unfortunately. But like I said, no more delay. Right into these rankings. I know it says top 10 point guards. And I promise y'all, I did try to only rank 10, but I got stuck around that 7 to 8 range, and my list ended up being 16 players long. So I'm going to roll through my 16 to 11 so we can get that out of the way so they're all on the same page. So 16th is Cade Cunningham. I think he genuinely would be higher. I'm going to give like one or two sentences so we don't hold up too much time here. I think Cade would be higher, but the Pistons just suck. It's not his fault.
Quite literally.
And we didn't even preface this. The way that at least I did these rankings was based off of last season with projection into this year as well. So a nice little balance of how I feel like you played coming out of last year, postseason included for obviously the people that were able to make it there, with the caveat for some of these guys who might be on really good contending teams that made moves to get better, or flip side teams that might have gotten a little bit worse. That's also factored in there a little bit, but their play more than anything last year is like the main thing that I'm trying to base this list off of. 15 is where I have actually going to make a flip on the fly. 15 is where I'm going to put LaMelo. I think LaMelo if he could stay healthy, could obviously be a lot higher up on this list, but his ankles just don't support him there. At 14 is where I'm going to have Darius Garland. I think he's going to. This is me projecting, but not trying to over project. I think after next season, he will be much higher on this list, probably into the top 10, I would imagine. But dealt with the injuries and stuff last year. But it looks like, well, they already did keep Donovan Mitchell. Sounds like they're keeping Jared Allen too, so they're running that core back. Hopefully, we get that lead from Evan Mobley. That could open up a lot for that offense there. So, expecting a big year out of him, but based off of kind of the up and down season he had last year, I have him at 14. 14. At 13 is where I have James Harden. Or no, 13 is where I have Jamal Murray. The list is all backwards. Up and down in the postseason, but Jamal Murray, I feel like, is always going to float around this range. I think it's going to be tough for him to crack into this top 10 with how many good guards he just happens to be playing with in this era.
Mm-hmm.
Then that means at 12 is where I have James Harden. And then 11 is where I have Drew Holiday, who just slips outside of the top 10. Impact on the defensive side of the ball is so ridiculously elite that even though at times he is a very underwhelming offensive player, that alone has to count for a lot. So worthy of being in the conversation, but I could not get him over who ends up being my number 10 guy. Now we're on the same page. Dame, who do you have as your 10th best point guard in the NBA?
So this was a little bit tough for me. And by the way, it's just funny because so I have a list of all of the people that didn't, not all the people, but at least like 4 or 5 guys who didn't make the list. I didn't rank them at all, but it's the same names you literally just said. It's like Cade, Melo, Drew Holiday, Murray. I actually forgot Harden, but he wasn't gonna make the top 10 for me anyways. But so going for number 10, this was a little bit tough. I did a little bit of back and forth. I have Trae Young at number 10. So I have him 10. I feel like the year was a little bit rough for him and the Atlanta Hawks. I do think it can get better, obviously, with DeJounte Murray not being there and Trae Young basically being the sole guy. So you can see, obviously, an improvement there. Obviously, his usage is going to be kind of through the roof because that's the type of player that he is. Numbers-wise, I mean, he has a case to be, pretty higher, especially if you're including last year and, his previous years. I mean, he has the numbers. He had a playoff run under his belt. He's done good stuff in the league or has a case at least to be higher. Just the way I view it for some of these guys ahead of him, I just think that if we're projecting going into next season, it's not by a lot. Like I said, it's really splitting hairs here. It's not by a lot, but I like a few of these guys a little bit more. I think the fact that Trae Young can't really play off ball hurts a little bit. Obviously, we know about the defensive struggles, even though it's been a little bit better. It's still, he's just off of his size and the way he's built, he's not ever going to be a good defender. So that's a little bit of a hit for him. But I do think, like I said, he has a case to be higher. And I think that going to next season, it'll probably be better with the fact that he's just going to have the ball in his hands more and not going to have to, do the whole can they fit with DeJounte Murray type of thing. So for now, I'm going to have him at 10.
Yeah, Trae was an interesting one for me to rank. And he's actually, I know I said it right before we started recording, he's the guy that I think I'm going to swap around. As I re-look at this list, I may move him a couple of spots one way or the other, but we'll see when we get there. He is not my number 10. My 10th best point guard, and this might be a shocker, is Damian Lillard. And it's really for these core reasons. I obviously their experience was a little bit this season, I should say, for the Bucks was underwhelming. Obviously, you have the injuries in the postseason to kind of point to. So it's a big what if Giannis is healthy, does that, change things for that first round series against Milwaukee. But taking that away from it, even just looking at the time when him and Giannis were on the court together, something just never felt like it was a clean fit there, which is a bit surprising because I think a lot of people were expecting that we were just going to get a Dame Giannis pick and roll spam basically for the entire season. Obviously, they dealt with the coaching stuff between the swap with Adrian Griffin and Doc Rivers midseason and all of that drama. So, I do understand all of that. But the fit there for Dame never felt perfect. We knew that his points per game was going to drop, obviously, coming out of last year because you're going to play with someone that's in the conversation for being one of the best players in the NBA. So obviously you're going to have to take a slight backseat there, no matter how much Giannis wants to say it's his team. It was one of his worst shooting seasons from the 3-point line. I think it's his lowest that he's shot since like his third season in the NBA, outside of an outlier season when he got hurt after the Olympics with that ab injury. So efficiency was down. The fit just was not what I was expecting from him. He's going to be 34 next year. I just think he's at a place right now where this upcoming season, we're going to find out if he can play with another star or not to a championship level. Because like so much of his time in Portland was like he was the star and he had complementary pieces around him, outside of when he was earlier in his tenure with LaMarcus. But he hadn't really played with another star as he's hit his peak until now. And again, this first season, the fit wasn't as seamless as a lot of people were expecting it to be. So going into next year, I think that's going to be a big question mark, is if his game can translate to championship basketball while also playing with Giannis. But at the end of the day, if nothing else on that roster, he's going to be able to give you 25 a night. He's going to be a flamethrower on some nights. Like, even as we saw in the playoffs, on a given night, he can explode for 35, 40. It can be Dame time at any time, and you can't undervalue that. But I think just the guys ahead of him, like I said, I think the point guard position is so deep right now. A lot of them are the number one options on contending teams, can carry a load, bring a little bit more versatility on either offense and defense. So I slotted him in at 10, and that's what I feel most comfortable with.
I got you. It's funny because when you told me the list before we started, not the list, but when you told me your rankings or how your criteria, that's the word I'm looking for before list. Yeah. I had the name I thought was Dame is going to be higher for me than it is for you. I knew it was going to be like that. So it's interesting. We'll talk more when we get to where I have him on the list. But no, I'm not mad at the definitely not mad at the reasons why you have him at 10, because it definitely can be viewed from that standpoint, especially like you said, when you look at all the other guys at the point guard position. The position's gotten a lot better. So there's definitely a lot of guys have cases to be way higher on this list. For me, number 9, I have Tyrese Maxey. It's so funny because like I really like Tyrese Maxey. He was one of our breakout guys like before going into last season. So I really wanted to find a way to put him even higher on this list, to be honest with you. But if I just were looking at it from a standpoint of, obviously he had a really good season. He did have a breakout season. Beginning of the year with a healthy Joel was even better, because obviously when you're not the number one over there, it opens up more stuff for you. But he looked like a fantastic number 2. So moving forward, I have full confidence in his ability to be that solidified number 2 over there. The only reason why I have the few guys or a couple guys ahead of him is because when I look at specifically the guy I have right above him, I think that I like the fact that I'm trying to say without spoiling who I have ahead, but I'll say his name. I like the fact that he is the number 1 on his team. And Maxey, even though he had a great season, and he was like holding it down with Joel was out, they did slip a lot in the standings. And they're in an easier Easter conference, which I think that that weighs into it a little bit. I just like the few guys ahead of him, just a slight bit better. I think that though, if we do this list even after next season, Maxey still has room for improvement and can still even be higher. So if this is like a long-term projection type of thing, Maxey definitely could be higher on this list because his potential is really there. But if we're strictly looking for going into next season, I think I like the guys that have him slightly better. But that could, like I said, I think that can change. I think that could definitely fluctuate. I think Maxey can have an even better year than he had before.
Definitely can. Slight spoiler, I've got Maxey a good bit higher, actually.
Okay.
And I think if you want to knock my list, the biggest knock there is like everybody else up here is going to be a number 1 option. And it's like he's not.
Oh, you're
but
talking about yeah. I think
yeah,
that's
it's
where it
like
kind of weighs in for me is like because
yeah,
your responsibilities are different when you're number one and
definitely.
when you're number two. That's kind of what I like weigh into it a little bit.
Mhm.
And putting it with that being said, I'm low key gonna make a little switch on the fly here, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. But look, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being biased. I like Maxi's game so much, and like you said, I do think there's still so much room for him to get better. Like I am projecting even another leap, even though he's coming off of a most improved season.
Mhm.
Um, but that puts me at my number 9, um, which is where I actually have De'Aaron Fox. Um, he had an interesting year last year, and the Kings generally as a team are in a very interesting spot. Um, Early in the season, like overall, if you look at how his efficiency shook out, it was his second best season um, from the 3-point line since he's been in the NBA, and also on pretty high efficiency as well. Not pretty high efficiency, on the most volume, I should say. Almost shooting 8 threes a night, was shooting almost 37%, which for De'Aaron Fox is really big growth because there's been seasons where he's shot sub 30% from the 3-point line. It was higher in the beginning of the year. That kind of tapered off towards the end of the season. His rim pressure has also gone down. I think over the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's getting to the rim less frequently and also finishing a little less efficiently at the rim, even though he's still relatively high, especially for a guard. Um, which is where De'Aaron Fox, like, that's kind of been his whole bread and butter in the NBA, is being able to just blow past people to the rim. And now the addition of his perimeter game is kind of expanding his offense a little bit more. Um, I think he may have overtuned too much, and we might need to get back to that bread and butter there. So obviously some of the efficiency there dropping hurts a little bit. And last season, the Kings, or not last season, I guess now 2 seasons ago, the Kings made it to the 3 seed. They were one of the luckiest teams in the NBA just in terms of health. They stayed ridiculously healthy, and still were bounced out in the first round. Obviously, this year they don't make it to the playoffs. I wouldn't put all of that on De'Aaron Fox. I think there are bigger schematic issues with just some of the personnel they have. Sabonis for the biggest reason as to why they might be getting held back from their ceiling in the playoffs. But look, as a whole, like De'Aaron Fox is still a guy who's going to give you probably 25 to 27 points a night in terms of averages. He's going to be able to get to the rim pretty easily. That floater game is always going to be nice. If he can get consistent throughout the whole season for his 3-point jump shot and not have some of the ebbs and flows, if we can kind of really consistently hover around 37, 38, maybe 39%, especially even if he's shooting 6 or 7 threes a game, I think that'll be a really good sweet spot for him. And then you got to do something about Sabonis long term, man. I just don't think he's their option if they're really trying to ever get serious about contending in the West, because they're always going to be able to win around 40 games, but in the West, that's not even going to get you in the playoffs. So
Facts.
you're going to have to make a little shakeup. But yeah, for those reasons, that's really why I have Fox ahead of Dame, but behind some of the other people, because I just think he had some regressions coming off of a really high season when was it 22, 23. Not anything too crazy, but again, I just think the guys in front of him either are poised for a bigger upcoming season or there's just generally a better past season this past year.
I like that. Now, my number 8, it's actually like this is what I just switched. So what I was talking about comparing with Maxey, forget that. I wasn't talking about this guy coming up. I switched. I have Damian Lillard at number 8.
Okay.
I think the main reason why I feel like I have him a little bit higher is because obviously he didn't have his best season last year. The Bucks as a whole didn't have what they hoped to have last year. It was up and down. They had some like turmoil. They had a coach change throughout the year. I think that played a big factor in the fact that one, you got Damian Lillard switching to a new team and playing along Giannis, a person that's better than him for the first time in his career, really, since he'd been like a superstar. So I think that is some sort of adjustment that you do have to make. So that took a little while to actually get that going. And then you still fire the coach at the All-Star break and then bring in Doc Rivers. So that's another adjustment you guys have to make, along with the fact that the roster is not suited to like they had Michael Beasley as their like best perimeter defender. Like it just like wasn't gonna work. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just wasn't a good fit. I think that even though I'm not a huge fan of Doc Rivers, like at all, like in the slightest bit, I think that at least having
Just gotta make sure there's no fandom for Doc.
none at all, like not in the slightest bit at all. But I think it's just gonna help having some what's the word, continuity, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Going into next season, obviously another off season, preparing to play with Giannis and like just getting that chemistry a little bit better. Hopefully they kind of figure that out. And even though Dame is on the older side, I do think that like we've seen there's times where he can still take over a game. He can take over a fourth quarter. He still is that elite closer. He still is that elite just player in the NBA. I think that he can have a little bit of a bounce back. I think to me, if the argument against this would just be the fact that he's 34 coming off a bad season, like there could be a world where this is just how he plays for the rest of his career. So that's definitely an argument there.
Yeah.
I think I just have more faith that he'll actually have a bounce back year.
Yeah. No, Dame was hard for me to rank because like in a vacuum, he could be so much higher on this list, but with that current situation, how it was last year with Doc, like just to fit, it was hard for me to really nail it down.
I think if this list was like, who would you have moving forward, like just for the rest of their career? Like I think he's way lower for me.
He doesn't make the top
10. Yeah, I would say he's like way lower for me. But if we're just talking like strictly next season, like I think he can have a bounce back and have a good next season if we're just talking like that.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. That was your number 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 8 is where I have Trae Young for pretty much all the same reasons that you said. I do think that the breakup with DeJounte Murray is best for both parties. Like, I think them playing together made both of them worse.
Right.
So you said it best. Like, I just think he can't play off ball, which is a shame because the Steph Curry comparisons are always going to be there. And it's like, bro was giving you the blueprint. I'm not saying you have to be Steph, but just, brother, we got to do more than stand at the hash and look at the guy dribbling. Like it has to be more there. I had some faith that maybe Quinn Snyder could figure something out. Clearly not. And I don't even necessarily think that it's his fault. It might just not be his MO to be an off the ball guy. James Harden is not an off the ball guy. It's just how he plays the sport of basketball. So, despite all of that, the conversation around Trae Young, it's too disrespectful at this point, bro. Like,
I agree.
Bro is putting up consistently 25, 26, and 10. That is not an easy stat line to get to in the NBA, especially at 6 foot, barely, whatever height Trae Young is. So obviously they haven't had a ton of on-court success out after their Eastern Conference Finals run, but y'all be acting like Trae Young is a scrub, and that's gotta stop, bro. That's gotta stop because no scrub is out here putting up 25 and 10. That's a hard stat line to get to.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the disrespect is getting a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like the fact that he was getting snubbed for those All-Star, like not even getting mentioned for those All-Star selections. Like, yeah, people talk about Trae Young like he's just a bum. Like when not too long ago,
they talk about him like he's like a shot chucker or something. Like he's just like empty stats. Like, whoa.
Right. He did take a team to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I know it's getting to be a little while ago, but still, that's still something. Like it's not nothing.
Right.
So yeah, no, I understand. I definitely hear what you're saying. For me, we're getting to number 7. This is where I have De'Aaron Fox. I just flipped him. I put him a little bit higher. Just for mainly like the reason that you said. I do like the fact that I've seen the ability to at least shoot the 3 ball and expand his game on the perimeter a lot. I like that. And the main reason why I put him, I feel like somewhat high, is because I think that potential is there because, like you said, if you can
Mhm.
really put all of that together and be the most complete player you can be, the fact that he's already shown like flashes of having or being able to knock the three ball down, we already know what he can do as far as attacking the basket. No one, you can't stay in front of him; he's way too fast.
Right.
We saw flashes of him being like obviously being clutch. Obviously, him showing up in the playoffs, him showing up for the biggest moments for his team. I think the main thing that kind of knocks him is, like you said, this is Sabonis, the roster, just the
Yeah.
overall kind of situation a little bit, which is interesting to say because, like you said, 2 years ago they were the what? What were they? The 2 seed,
3
three
seed.
seed, the 3 seed. So, but even then, we kind of knew it's like you're kind of limited with Sabonis being your center and just the way they got to play. It's just you're a little bit limited. So, situation wise, maybe holds him back a little bit, but I just think the overall potential and the overall talent right now, let alone the potential of what it could be, is very very high. So that's why I got him here.
Yeah, very fair. Um, number 7 is where I have Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
So ahead of Damian Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, and Trey Young.
Gotcha.
And like I
Okay.
said, if you wanna if you wanna knock my list, I can be self-aware and understand that, like, yeah, everybody else is outside of Dame is on this list a first option or like a 1B type. Like
Right.
who could be their first option is he ain't really demanding it like that.
But I will say it's like he's the two because he's playing with Joel Embiid. Like
That's literally what I was about to say. It's like he
like,
also just happens to be playing with the most dominant big in the league right now
right.
from a consistent physical presence. Not the best big, the most dominant big. Make sure y'all heard that
Clip it.
correctly.
Clip it.
Right. But he's ranked higher. He's probably the person I projected out maybe the most or at least the second most. And it's the jump that he made in playmaking for this past year. Like the points jump is the biggest thing. Like I know that's what got him the most improved player of the award. Like being able to be a 20-point per game scorer and jump it up to, almost basically 26 points is a big leap. But going from basically 3.5 assists to a little over 6 assists a game. And I think that, again, like you mentioned, he's still so young. There's still so much room for development there. That year with Harden definitely did wonders for him to really expand his playmaking abilities. I would not be shocked if we see him averaging over 7.5, 8 assists this upcoming season. If you look at a guy with a stat line, we just talked about Trey Young getting crazy disrespect for putting 25 and 10 on the board. Tyrese Maxey could easily be putting up 26, 27 and 7 or 8 assists. While also I think being an argument to be made that he could be like the 4th best tough shot maker on this list. Like just in terms of some of the big time shots that we saw him hit in the playoffs, his ability to score off the catch and shoot and on the dribble, his ability to get downhill, to finish through contact. He just can score at all 3 levels through very difficult contests. So the highest second option I have up here, but I think he deserves it. And he is, I think, due for an even bigger season than he just had coming off of his most improved season.
You ain't gonna get no argument out of me. I'm a big Tyrese Maxey fan. I listen. I definitely hear what you're saying. I don't completely disagree with a lot of stuff you're saying. Like I said, he definitely could have an even better season than what he had before because he's gotten better every single year he's been in the league, and he's still super super young. So, we are on number, I believe, 6.
Yep.
And now I feel like this is where it gets. I mean, it's been interesting the whole time, but
we've had the same group of names all the way
right.
through so
It's just
far.
kind of like a few
order.
switches here, little tweaks here, but I think
Right.
each spot you can hear the reasonings of switching people around depending on how you do your list or what you value, things like that.
Right.
Number 6 for me is Ja Morant. Now,
Okay.
I have Ja here. I mean, obviously, this is strictly just going into next season because he didn't really play last season, so you can't go off last season. The people I have higher than him, and depending on who you talk to, some people you feel like you could put Ja even higher. But I feel like what happened last season with a lot of these guys, you have to at least you have to weigh that in a little bit more because I mean, it's no secret who the mainly 5 people are left on this list are.
Right.
Few of them had good, well, pretty much everyone except for one person had good postseason runs.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to at least weigh that into a little bit. But when we've seen Ja, not only is he putting up good stats, he's leading his team to a high seed in the regular season, and in the playoffs, even though they haven't made it super, super far, it's like they're definitely not an easy out. They're not a team where you can just like look at them and be like, oh yeah, we're 100% going to beat them. They've lost to better teams, don't get me wrong, but we're still super, super young teams led by a young player. So if we're projecting, if we're moving forward, it's like they're only with experience and everything, they're only going to get better. Like I said, with Ja leading that, I think, obviously he's the head of the stake there. I think he's due for a good season to remind people like who he actually is as a player. Because I mean, pretty much everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people has kind of forgotten about Ja and how good he actually is, just because you haven't seen him there. You got guys that's kind of breaking out now at the point guard position where you put them ahead of them because he's not playing, even though it's his fault, but he's not playing. So I think he's due for a really good season. I think that the Grizzlies are a team that could surprise people. Could definitely be higher in the seeding going into next or at the end of the next season than people expect. Because, like I said, when he's there and he's playing, like they're a team that's up there. They're a team that wins a lot of games. Like I said, in the postseason, they're not a team where you could just be like, oh yeah, they're definitely gonna lose. Like they will put up a fight for sure. So I have Ja at 6 for me.
So go read your 10 through 6.
My 10 through 6, I have Trae Young at 10. I have Tyrese Maxey at 9. I have Damian Lillard at 8. I have De'Aaron Fox at 7, and I have Ja Morant at 6.
Okay. I'm going to read off my 10 through 6, revealing number 6 when I get there. So at number 10, I have Damian Lillard. At number 9, I have De'Aaron Fox. At number 8, I have Trae Young. At number 7, I have Tyrese Maxey. And at number 6 is actually crazy that after the season he's lower on this list for me than he was last year. But I do have thoughts behind it. And it's Tyrese Halliburton at number 6.
Interesting. Okay.
Nothing super negative to say towards him, right? Like we both, I think, predicted he was going to have this big breakout season, which he did and played great, got them all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, whether you want to say that they lucked their way in there or not. Either way, it happened, right? It's in the history books. He engined one of the fastest paced offenses we've ever seen, one of the most prolific scoring offenses we've ever seen. The Pacers did very special stuff this year. I do have to say though, and I'm just gonna read this stat and I'm just gonna leave it here because I'm not gonna go as far as some people go, but I'm just gonna say this, right? Tyrese Halliburton this past season averaged 32 minutes a game, and he put up 20.1 points, 10.9 assists in those 32 minutes a night. His backup, TJ McConnell, if you take his averages and just moved him to if he played 36 minutes, so it was per 36-minute stats, TJ McConnell last season would have averaged 20.3 points and 10.9 assists. Like eerily the same stat line. There was times when Tyrese Halliburton didn't play and TJ McConnell was just out here 15 assists. Like
he was hooping.
You know what I mean? Like not to say TJ McConnell is no bum because he's a hooper. Like he gets it gritty, dirty, does the dirty work. He loves that little 8-foot fadeaway.
It's so
cash. But I do think, and I don't like. I'm trying to thread the needle here because I don't want it to sound like I don't think Halliburton is a good player. Like you cannot just put anybody into this offense to do that. But I do think this offense is just geared in a way to play so fast that lead guard initiator is just going to get so many easy kick up assists, just pushing the pace up the court off of either a fast break opportunity or sometimes it's literally off of a made basket. He would just start running in transition and the point guard is just catching it and pushing it and somebody scores. And that's an assist. So look, I have him outside of the top 5 because realistically, and this is my biggest reasoning here, the 5 people in front of him, I think are more prolific scorers. I think they're better in the clutch. I think that a couple of them bring a lot more on the defensive side of the ball. And some of them are not as far off from a playmaking perspective as Tyrese is. I think Tyrese is probably the second best passer on this list. There are guys that are not too far. Like the drop off isn't as drastic for me to feel like I can put him above them going into next season. When, like I said, I think they are significantly better scorers than him at all three levels. So that's why Tyrese slots in at number 6 for me, even though, again, he was a guy that I had as a breakout player last year. I think I had him ranked – I didn't have him 4
It was like
last
4.
year.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
4.
So he's somehow slid 2 spots after having the season that I was hoping he would have.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, you're the Tyrese guy. I'm not gonna lie. You're the Hallie guy.
But look, to be fair, there's a guy that we all know, that guy in New York. He had a season ain't nobody expect. So he had to take a spot. You know what I mean?
He was 100% taking a spot for
Yeah.
100%. But nah, I hear what you're saying. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, the only reason, because I was debating Hallie or Ja. I'm gonna just spoil it. My 5 is Halliburton. I was debating Hallie or Ja. The only reason I have Hallie higher is because Ja did not play last season, and I am still weighing a little bit into. I mean, at the end of the day, he made All NBA, and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's like,
fair.
You know what I mean? But realistically, I think that to talk about Halliburton at 5 for me, I definitely hear what you're saying, 100%. I think that the injury hurt him a little bit, because in the beginning of the season he was looking like, I mean, he still made it all NBA team, but he had a case to be even like a second team. Like, he was playing like one of the best point guards in the entire NBA, just the way he was looking. And then the injury, and then he kind of slowed down with everything. I feel like he wasn't as aggressive. That probably hurt his numbers a little bit. And even in the playoffs, there's times we talk about it all the time where I'm like, bro, stop passing to Nembhard, bro. Just score the basketball. Like, you have the ability to take over this game and actually look for your shot and score the basketball, and you just don't. But when he does, it's like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy, the ability he has to shoot the basketball and actually find his own shot. So I think he has that ability to be a better scorer. I do agree, though. I think if I'm including Ja, those 5 people are definitely a better scorer than he is.
I think it's a good bit better. That's really what did it for me. It's like I can't justify it, because that gap feels like we've taken the next leap to
if we're just talking scoring, I agree.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm specifically talking scoring. I'm not saying they're
necessarily
that much better than him as a player, but just from a scoring perspective, they're all a good chunk better than him, in my opinion.
I feel you. I just think, even if I'm specifically talking about a guy like Ja, the last time we see him in the playoffs, he's still, he is a better scorer, but he even still has his games where it kind of it's up and down a little bit. So I think I agree with you saying 100%, just as far as just scoring wise. I just think that, again, mainly it's just off of the fact that he did have this breakout season, and I think that if the injury didn't plague him and he tried to play through it, who knows how much better his stats and everything could have been for this season. So going into next season, having a full year of Pascal Siakam, coming off an Eastern Conference Finals run, whether it was fluky or not, I just think that he's due for definitely another big season, but I'm very excited to see how it's going to be when he's just fully healthy. Hopefully he finds more of a balance of, I'm going to get my guys going and stuff like that, but I'm still the guy here. I'm going to get my own shot and I'm going to score the basketball. So hopefully find that balance. But I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying, just as far as the scoring difference here. But I have him 5 just because he did have that breakout season, and I look forward to see what he's going to do next season.
Yeah, he was a guy. I have Ja Morant at 5, so ours is just flip flop. But I'm not even going to dive too deep into it. But again, it's primarily for that reason I said that I think Ja is a good bit better of a scorer than him, and I don't think it doesn't get talked about enough. But he was a 26 and 8 assist guy. That's what I was talking about. If Tyrese can get there, Ja is there already. And obviously, I think Ja is a better finisher at the rim. Obviously, the 3-point shot for him is still real up and down from an efficiency perspective. He's never going to be a guy, I think, that takes a large volume of them, especially at least at this stage in his career where he still has this much bounce. There's really not a need to. So I think that coming off of this past season, they go out, they bring in Zach Edey. Desmond Bane had an opportunity to develop a little bit more as a lead guard at times, even though it didn't, again, amount to a ton of wins. That's the type of stuff when you have those lost seasons, you find guys who can go out and develop parts of their game that you probably wouldn't have had them doing if Ja would have been healthy. We saw Jaren have to be the number one option for bits and pieces at a time. So he's going to come back, I think, even more dynamic as a scorer. We already know what he can do on the defensive side of the ball. I think, as you just mentioned, the Grizzlies are going to be in for a big bounce back season. And I think Ja Morant is primed to lead that charge, continuing to be an elite scorer, being able to get hot. When he does get the three ball flowing, he feels like a very streaky shooter. Like in that one game against the Lakers in the playoffs where he had like 40 plus, where it just was like all of a sudden he's knocking it down like crazy. He's on top of the fact that he's getting to the rim at ease. Like It gets ridiculous to guard. So yeah, that's ultimately why I ended up with Ja over Tyrese. It was tight. I had them flipped at one point. I ultimately just settled with Ja over Tyrese because, like I said, I think that 8 assists mark is slept on. I think his ability just generally as a passer, especially on some of those easy lobs to Jaren, is underrated. And again, as a scorer, he just is so ridiculously dynamic. And I know I had it's like a complete flip-flop. I think I was super low on Ja Morant when we did this last offseason. I think I had him like 7 or 8 or something. And can't really gauge it too much, obviously, with the injury this past year. But now he's leapfrogged Tyrese Halliburton in my rankings going into next year. But it's not a huge leap between those two gap wise. But you have to start splitting hairs when you're doing these rankings.
Ja is an underrated passer. I feel like I don't think people give him a lot of credit for
his passing. I don't think ever gets mentioned. People just talk about his bounce, but it's like, bro, he is a pretty good passer. He's a good lob passer specifically too. Like he throws a lot of good alley-oops.
Absolutely. So getting into number 4. Number 4 is where I have Jalen Brunson. I mean, I feel like I don't really need to say much about Jalen Brunson. If you watched basketball this year, you know what Jalen Brunson did. You know the breakout that he had. I mean, this guy, to be able to lead them the way they did, Julius Randle for parts of the year, Mitchell Robinson out, they were getting killed with injuries. Being a small guard, you know how those conversations work. To have the year that he had, as far as scoring the basketball, being the unquestioned number 1 guy, it was insane. He deserves a ton of credit. He was was top 5 in MVP voting.
Yep.
He had an insane breakout year. Kind of solidified the fact that he can be a number 1 and lead a team like deep into the playoffs. Because I mean, who knows as far as like injuries wise what would have happened? Like I mean, I'm pretty sure we agree that they probably would have beat the Pacers if they were fully healthy. And then they would have at least given Boston a fight, even if you still feel like Boston would have won. But if we're just going based off of the year that he had last year, and now we're projecting going into next year, when you add a guy like Mikal Bridges, you get healthy Julius Randle back, like you just get healthy OG Anunoby back. It's like when him and OG Anunoby was on the court, like they feel like they never lost.
Yeah.
So when you add a Mikal Bridges to that, the Knicks are gonna be nice, man. Like
friendship.
Bro, the Knicks are gonna be nice, legit title contenders. So it's only gonna be even better year just as far as them as a team. So I'm excited to see what Jalen Brunson does there. But yeah, if we're definitely going off of last year and projecting, yeah, he's unquestioned for me.
Yeah, Nova Knicks, full effect. Jalen Brunson is also my number 4 slot here. Part of me really made the thought to see if I could maybe jump him into a little bit higher.
Bro,
that's too spicy for my blood.
I swear to God, when I was doing this list and I put him for, I was like, I wonder if Billy really because I know you. I know you.
Same thought when you was reading it all.
I was like, is it because he slid under 3 low key? Like I swear I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Maybe next year. Who knows? Maybe next year.
It's very possible. Very possible, but not going to spend too much time on it. All the reasons that you said, bro. Brunson's ability to be the number 1 option while also having an insane degree of difficulty on a lot of his shots takes a lot of mid-range, a lot of floaters, a lot of contact at the rim. He's all of maybe 6'1". He saw every single defensive coverage imaginable because there was a period of time where he was playing with a bunch of spot-up shooters. He's the only creator. They literally just started sending bodies to get the ball out of his hands. Didn't matter. able to score on every single coverage. And like you mentioned, hopefully everybody's coming back this year and healthy. And then they add Mikal Bridges on top of that. And he takes a pay cut. What?
Yeah, I forgot about that part. That's insane. He's a better man than me because I don't like. You're my friend, Billy. I'm not taking $113 million for you,
No.
bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just not.
Pick a side, throw a bag at me. This podcast is over. Like, it's just wraps.
I don't even blame you, bro. But like, bro, he's a way better man than me, bro. Because God, that's not happening for me. No way.
Yeah, it's like $104 million difference, right? That he left on the table to sign this summer versus next summer.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah,
Just to play with your friends. He wants to play with the boys. That's all it is.
For those of y'all that don't know, Jalen Brunson was extension eligible. He could have waited until next offseason and gotten a full max contract, which actually now let me pull up the exact numbers because I want to make sure y'all understand how much of a pay cut he really just took.
There's no because I be thinking like, bro, what is the like what is said in there to make it seem like? Because wasn't this something I was like, yeah, he's doing this now, gonna take the cut now, but in years he can make. But like it was something weird I seen. I was like, bro, just give me my money, bro. Like I'm not doing this extra. Yeah, just give me my money.
So this offseason, just now, he signed a 4-year, $156 million contract extension. If he would have waited until next offseason, he could have signed, because he made All-NBA, he could have signed a 5-year, $269 million contract. So essentially, he took a $113 million pay cut so that the Knicks had more cap flexibility moving into the near future because they feel like their championship window is now, which is why they made the move for Mikal Bridges. Like you said, he's a better man than me. $113 million, that's not getting left on the table. I need every single penny. Count it again. No, I'm waiting until next offseason. I'm taking my whole bag. Julius Randle, you can get off the team. OG, I don't care. I need the bread.
I'm about to say, get Julius up out of here, bro. I'm good. Like we see how we made it when we was freaking a hospital team. Like, you just give me Mikal, we straight. Mikal, OG, we good. Everybody else can go. Bro, I don't listen, man. I don't know. That's crazy.
Insane. Because just like when I saw it come through, I know it had been rumored, but I was like, bro, no way he's turning down over $100 million. Like 9 figures. You just said, nah, I'm straight.
And I'm not hearing the whole because think about it, obviously he has to wait till next offseason. He could have, God forbid, tore his ACL this season. He was still gonna get paid. Like, I don't think there's no world where
he's solidified in
right.
Where does Jalen Brunson rank amongst all-time New York Knicks?
Hold on, before I speak, let me think real quick. Before I speak. Patrick Ewing's up there, Bernard.
Let's just say since the mid '90s, because I don't want to say let's not.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing
Frazier or any of those dudes. I'm talking from those John Starks, Patrick Ewing, Mark Jackson.
Okay,
not Mark Jackson, but those teams, all the way through now. Where does Brunson rank?
Probably second. I feel like is the case. Probably, I'd say probably second or third. Because I'm thinking really just Patrick Ewing. I mean, obviously people are going to bring up Melo. But, I mean, I feel like Melo...
You going to put him above Melo?
No. I'm saying it's an argument between him and Melo.
Oh, okay. I say, you have a...
Because if we're just talking about Knicks, Melo obviously... Melo was a Knick. You know what I mean? Melo was a Knick. Melo obviously was the talent that he was. I believe they really only had one real good run. I feel like I forgot what year it was. They only had one actual run, but just as far as the moments he had there, the memories that Melo brought, I think as a Knick, Melo, you could put him ahead of it. But I mean, Jalen Brunson now, I mean, they got him to actually they technically didn't get in the Eastern Conference Finals, but yeah, he had a couple good runs. Yeah, could have been, but. Yeah. He's up there, though. He's definitely – I feel like he's top 3. If we're just talking from, Patrick Ewing and them on, say Patrick Ewing, Melo, then I couldn't think of nobody else.
I think it has to be Brunson after 2 seasons.
Exactly, yeah. This early, though. So it's who knows what happens. If he was a chip, He's
If he wins a chip, he's the greatest New York Knick of all time. Sorry, Walt Frazier.
I'm about to say, I'm not even thinking of old.
Right.
Honestly,
No,
bro,
he just they said a 6-foot guard couldn't lead a
that's
team
true.
as the one
Yeah,
option. He wins
yeah.
a chip. How that city is gonna react, he's the best Knick of all time.
I just think it's so funny because like he's such the opposite of Melo. Like he's like a chill, like laid back dude. Like don't want to be in the crazy spotlight. He's taking pay cuts.
I was about to say Melo ain't taking that pay
Melo's
cut.
not taking. Did you see he was on a podcast? He was like, "I'm taking the money." He said I wasn't gonna do that. I said,
Right.
Melo, we know,
Right.
Melo, we know, bro. That's what people.
we lived it out. It happened in our
Literally.
lifetime.
It's crazy though because people was knocking him for like taking all his money instead of actually like trying to prioritize winning. And it's like, I mean, he did. Brunson's doing it, and people are like, "You're insane." So I mean, I feel like it's a lose regardless.
Definitely.
Because when you lose out on that money, people are gonna be like, "Bro, you're crazy." If you take the money, it's like, "Oh, you don't want to win a chip." Me personally, if people, I'm never gonna get mad at someone for taking their money, unless it's like a Damian Lillard situation where you're like, "I want to win," but staying important. Like, bro, shut up. Like, I'd rather you just be like Melo was like, "I want a bag," because
right.
I ain't gonna stop you from getting your money, bro. Like, So he's, I don't know. Like I said, he's a better man than me.
Yeah.
They better win a chip. If I'm him, we better win a chip. That's all I need.
If we don't win a ring, I need 10 from you. I need 10 mil from you. I need 10 mil. Everybody better pitch in on what I missed out on when this is all said and done. If we don't get a ring to show for it,
100%.
Yeah, but that we needed to go on that tangent because, bro, $113 million pay cut.
Insane.
Nuts. Who do you have then as your third best point guard?
So 3 for me is Luka Doncic. Not playing.
I was about to say, whoa.
I'm playing. We're not doing that.
This is where I feel like the tier separated to like this is S tier now.
Exactly. Yeah. I have Steph Curry.
Okay, I have Steph as well.
Yeah, I feel like the 3 it's locked for the top 3.
Yeah,
the same. But yeah, I guess if we gotta talk about it, I got Steph Curry here. I feel like I don't really need to say much. Obviously, it's Steph Curry. Even though I do feel like right now with these older guys, him and LeBron, it feels weird to rank them not on this list because I feel like he's like locked in this list in this spot. But if we're just talking about amongst like people in the league, it's like a weird where do you put them kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, Warriors obviously had like a bad year.
Not
even just a flat out bad year. But he's still Steph Curry at the end of the day. But I think that to me, the 2 guys ahead of them are not only obviously younger and ascending. I just think flat out at this point of their careers, better basketball players, on better teams, better situations, better opportunities to win moving forward. I just feel like he's locked in at this 3 spot.
Yeah, all the same reasons that you said. You mentioned it. They're in a weird spot. Obviously, doesn't have a Splash Bro anymore. Pool Party left a couple years ago. It's just him and if I say just him and Draymond. Iggy gone. Like they the last of that era of Warriors basketball, and they have not put together a good roster for this upcoming season at all. I'm very afraid that the Warriors are going to suck this year and not make the playoffs again. Steph Curry has quietly, I don't feel like it hasn't really gotten talked about a ton, but people have started to ask him about, what he wants to do for this last part of his career. And he's made it very abundantly clear that he would obviously like to continue to compete and to win, as one would expect from a person of his caliber. And somebody asked him the other day, I felt like I saw, if he would request a trade. And he kind of just answered the question again by saying, like, look, he just wants to win. But he did not shut it down and was like, nah, I'm going to be a Warrior for life. Like, doubt starting to creep in.
For real.
If I got a notification that said Warriors guard Stephen Curry has requested a trade, I'm stopping everything I'm doing. And I'm immediately going to all the rumors. Where's he going?
I'm going to be happy because you know where the rumors going to be.
Oh, yeah.
You know where the Lakers are interested for Steph Curry. LeBron wants Stephen Curry. Yeah, you know what it's going to be. So I'm going to be happy because I'm going to be that delusional fan that thinks, duh, course, you're coming over here. But it would be insane, though. Just as a basketball fan, it would be insane.
No, and it as weird as it's about to be to see Clay in a Mavericks jersey, I can't imagine seeing Steph in anything else. Like, it looks weird seeing him in a Team USA jersey because, like, that's not the blue and gold. You know what I mean? But the last thing I'll say just about his current season from this past year, like, he's still Steph Curry and, like, still finds ways to evolve his game even throughout the changing of the roster and him getting up there in age at this point. He's going to be 36 next year, but still continues to finish at the rim at a high level. Obviously, he developed that throughout his career, continues to find multiple different ways to get his shot up, whether that's off the catch and shoot, coming off of screens, being a spot up guy, or just being able to get it off the dribble with the fastest release we've ever seen. Does the same thing at the mid-range as well. Like, he is the best shooter ever for a reason and still plays very high at that level on a nightly basis. Unfortunately, he's just not going to have a lot of help this upcoming year. And I don't know that he's in a position anymore. And I just think the NBA is too good for you to have one guy and just be like, yeah, bro, you're going to carry us. The talent is too good across the board. That just is not ever going to be a good enough recipe. So I know it's a new GM with Mike Dunleavy. He needs to figure it out fast, bro, because his tenure is off to a very, very, very bad start, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, 100%. You're at risk of having a little disgruntled, but we'll see what happens. So,
did you see the report that is this still on topic about the Warriors, that their last Clay's last ask from them in the contract negotiations was for, I think, $20 million, like basically 2 years, $20 million, so $10 million a year, and the Warriors still said no?
Really?
That's what was reported. Obviously, we won't know what's 100% factual until one side or the other tells that story someday. But I imagine there's probably some level of truth that Clay had to come back with a number that was somewhat reasonable in the Warriors.
Right.
Like, there's just, I feel like there's no way y'all couldn't have found a number that worked for the both of y'all.
I feel you. You couldn't make it work.
Yeah, bro. Mike Dunleavy. That's why Bob Myers got him out of there. He seen the writing on the wall. He said, I ain't dealing with none of this, bro.
Mm-hmm.
With that, though, I guess who was your number 2 and number 1? Because we know it's Luka and Shai, but in what order?
And what are we gonna have here? No, it's Shai's number 2, Luka's number 1. Yeah, just as far as Shai, obviously had a fantastic season. Obviously was in MVP conversations. Some people's MVP. He had an argument he could have possibly won it. I think not even really going off what they did last year, because if you watch basketball, you know what both these guys did. Have fantastic seasons. Shai specifically led OKC to the number 1 seed, had a great season, was a super young team, bounced out of the playoffs by Luka, but still played great and still was fantastic in the playoffs. I just think that it was a young team. I just think it was bound to happen as far as like them losing, because I feel like it's steps in the NBA. Like, you don't just, well, for the most part, you don't just like break out, make it to the playoffs, and then end up winning the whole thing. It's kind of like you lose, you struggle a little bit, maybe you make it to the finals and lose like Luka did, and then you kind of break through type of thing. So I think that if we're just projecting moving forward, obviously they're going to keep getting better because they're still young guys. Even if they don't, they're playing at MVP level, or they're MVP level talent. So even if they don't get significantly better, like, that's still fine. But for Shai specifically, it's like OKC has the experience now. They upgraded as far as like subbing out Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso, which is insane. But then you add a guy like Hartenstein, where you're just filling in the holes, filling in your weaknesses, improving on that. Then you got young guys like Jalen Williams getting better. Then you got a Chet, obviously, is going to get better. He was a rookie last year. So the team as a whole was already the 1 seed. Now I feel like they're legit contenders, when you add on the fact that they're going to get better and the experience for the team. They got that added experience. So with Shai leading that, his season's probably going to be insane, because he's, at this point, I feel like he's a lock to be a guy that's going to give you 30, play good defense. Like he is what he is at this point and can improve. So I think that moving forward, like he's gonna have a fantastic season and possibly, fully break through. Who knows? And then Luka, I mean, coming off the finals run, kind of insane when they kind of made the finals with the fact that they'd had like a minor mid-season switch as far as like just adding little pieces here and there, and PJ Watt and Daniel Gafford, but it was enough to make it to the finals. It was enough to fully break through, make it to the finals, ran into just honestly a better team. So with Luka, it's funny with Luka because it's like it's funny because you get so numb to the fact that he's so good because like he's gonna be top 3 player in the league, MVP conversations pretty much every single year.
Yep.
So he's already at that point. He's solidified. I think, or most people think, the best point guard in the league. I think for him is really the next step is going to be, can you obviously win the finals, fully break through, and then be known as the best player in the league. So I think he's in an even different level of player than even other guys on this list. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Luka at 1 and Shai at 2.
Yeah, I had to put the caveat in, even as I have it written down here. It goes Steph at 3 and then 1B, 1A. I cannot definitively separate these guys by a 1 and a 2. And I think it does a disservice to either one of them solely because, like, what both of them did in the regular season, obviously Luka put up absurd video game stats throughout the course of the regular season. Shai was a consistent, he could sleepwalk to 30 points easily with 5 or 6 assists, and also led the league in steals, was one of the best defensive guards in the NBA on top of all of the scoring output that he's literally tasked with having to create for this Thunder offense, and then went into the playoffs and did the exact same thing while his team kind of collapsed a little bit at times around him. Biggest one obviously being a guy like J-Dub just didn't perform in the playoffs, I think, as well as he would like to. But Shai didn't waver at all on that stage. And then Luka obviously gets into the finals, had the injury to the knee and the shoulder and the ribs and whatever else was ailing him throughout the course of the postseason, and then still went out and performed at a very high level, and ultimately losing to just a better team, significantly better team in the Boston Celtics. So I have it as 1A and 1B between the two of them. And to me, you really you can't go wrong ranking either one of them as the best guard solely because like Shai's defensive impact on top of what he's bringing offensively, how he can score in the mid-range and at the rim while also continuing to expand his game at the perimeter. And like you just mentioned, the additions that they made this offseason, not having to play with a guy that is literally being left wide open in the corner and Josh Gideon going to a guy who's like a 40% corner three-point shooter. Just imagine how much more open the paint is going to look for him on a nightly basis. And really, most importantly, in the playoffs when guys are really dedicating, time and preparation to their scheme around certain individuals in a lineup. So just made it that much harder to out-scheme OKC in that way. But you also mentioned it, like with Luka, he's been in the league so long that it feels like he's got voter fatigue for awards that he hasn't won yet, because he came in at such a high level and continues to just perform at that point. So I think I'm in agreement with you that I would have Luka ahead of Shai. I know we both had him as the MVP this past year. I think they're both due for huge seasons this upcoming year. But I think if I had to create, if a tier is Shai, Luka, and Steph all in this top point guard conversation, I think there's even a separate tier between Shai and Luka, and then a tier down for Steph, and then a tier down as we get into the 4 and 5 and the rest of the list. I genuinely think Shai is that good and deserves to be, to some people, the best point guard in the NBA. And I think, look, on the right day, because again, I made this list a couple times. some lists had Shea first, some lists had Luka first. So like on the right day, it'll flip flop for me. I really think it is that close, but two very, very special players, and crazy that they are both still getting better. Like, and they are already now, I think, undisputably, you can't say no one, I don't think, could make this list at this point in time with Steph's age and their current situation and not have one of the two of those guys as the best point guard in the NBA.
Yeah.
And they're both Shea's older, right? And he's like 26.
He's older.
Yeah. So like, yeah, he'll be 26 next year. So they're still going to have probably another 3 to 4 years of like fully reaching their prime and being in their, at least their athletic prime. But I think both of their games will age pretty well because of how they play. So it's like they have another decade plus of just being at this ridiculous level.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely don't think there's a tier difference between Luka and Shea. I personally just think that for me, I have Luka. I don't think Shea is better than Luka. I just think that, I mean, obviously the defense for Shea is a lot better, a lot better than Luka. But even then, you've seen Spurs where Luka was sliding his feet. He was at least trying a little bit more on defense. Mm-hmm. And me personally, obviously in the finals, it was a little bit tougher, but the wear and tear of one, the injuries that he had, and the fact that this year you made it to the finals. You know what I mean? The first time a lot of people make it to the finals, they kind of not even if it's not fully break down, you can tell they're not fully prepared for playing basketball for that long, for that length of a season, to the point where, especially for a guy like Luka, where you're, even though Kyrie is there, you're pretty much the offensive load. It's just a lot on you. So I think that when you have Luka who's willing to slide his feet and play defense, don't get me wrong, it's not like to a Shea level, but it's not as bad as it was before. And the fact that I just think Luka can do more with less, even though, like you said, Shea in the playoffs, even though his team was, not playing up to their standards, he still was doing his thing, which is a great on his standpoint. I just think even like just the Luka's ability to just do more with less and actually carry the load for his team, I think that puts him above a guy like Shea for me personally. But like I said, both these guys are getting better. Both these guys are first-team All-NBA caliber guys. Both these guys are young. They can still improve. Like, they still have ways to go. So I think, like I said, for me, Luka is definitely better. I just think the main thing for me is he's also in, like, I think he's in that like top 3 players in the league conversation, where I think Shea is right outside that. Like, I think, like, especially if Luka like won this chip, there would have been plenty of people saying he was the best player in the league, like, easily. Yeah. Shea, I think, can get to that point. I think he's maybe slightly under that for me. Not a huge difference, but probably slightly under that. That's the only difference I feel like.
I think that's fair, but I would have to say I think he plays well enough to be there.
In the best player, not best player, but in that conversation kind of thing.
Right. Like it's hard because like even when you start to have those conversations, like I'm a guy, when I try to say like who is the best player in the league, that's not going to be something that's real flip floppy for me. Like, you are going to be the best player in the league, and it's like once I view you in that sense, you're good for like a season. Unless you have a horrible year, then it's like, okay, we'll reevaluate. But it's like I see people already trying to, like you said, move off of Jokic and give it to somebody else. It's like I can't do that. Like, once you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Jokic is still the best player in the league. So it's like that conversation is interesting because, like, yes, Luka is in that conversation, but it's like, in my eyes, he's not there. But it's like, I feel like Shea plays well enough to, I think, be also in that conversation. But again, I would not put him there because I wouldn't put him above Jokic.
So, my fault. Go finish.
I just was going to say, like, I do think that for all the reasons why Luka is in the conversation, like, Shea does so much of those things at arguably similar levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they just play basketball differently. Like, obviously, Luka is so much more ball dominant throughout the course of the game. And obviously part of that just has to do with team structure as well. Like, the Mavericks have been completely building their roster around it to be so that Luka can play that style of basketball, really heliocentric focus, and like everything starts and ends with Luka in that offense. Shea obviously has a couple other playmakers around him who can put the ball on the deck. Not to say that obviously Luka has a guy like Kyrie, but that offense is a little bit more free flowing than Luka's is. So not everything has to go through Shea at that same usage rate that it does for Luka. But I do think, again, like he can score and fill up the box score just as much as Luka can. And that I think maybe I'm also just overvaluing the defense, but I do think it is very, very real. Like 2 steals a game is hard to average.
Oh, you go overvalue defense. Defense is I hate when people undervalue defense.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying.
What
do you think? What do you think? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, what do you think Shea would have to do this season to be viewed in that like top 3-ish like conversation? Because I think if we're just talking about just the overall viewpoint, I don't think people view Shea in that conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, would it just be like do what you did again? Because I mean, if you average 30 in your first year on NBA, like that could be enough to just put you in that convo.
Right? Are you saying for me or for like the public?
The public. I'm saying the public.
For the public, it's gonna have to be like a deep playoff run with moments. Like that's. I think that is what sways the masses' opinion more than anything else.
That's true.
Like for the longest time, how much of the conversation around Jokic was really like advanced stats? He's carried by the advanced stats.
Mm-hmm.
He goes out, he wins a playoff run, gets his championship, obviously already had MVPs at that point. I feel like I don't hear that as much as I used to. Like, obviously, there's still going to be people out there who are, banging that drum that he's, carried by his advanced stats and this and that. But that was a much louder argument to me prior to him going on that playoff run and getting that done. We can go back to a guy like Giannis, who again was like, "Oh, can he do it?" That's a little bit of a different case, but
it's like that with Joel right now. With like Embiid, people don't put him in that
right, and people he's sliding because of it. So it's like those I think are what impacts the people, just the masses the most. And it's like I understand it because at the end of the day, that's what everybody's playing for. You need to, if you show up on the biggest stage where everybody is trying to play in the NBA Finals, like, yeah, you're gonna probably get the most recognition for that from the the largest group of people. So I get it, but me trying to dive a little bit deeper and not be so heavily focused on just postseason results and stuff like that, and understand that it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I think Shea is definitely deserving of the conversation, and I don't know. I think he'll show more people this upcoming year, obviously, because they're going to be more like the jump that they made this year. They're going to have more national TV games. They're just going to be in more storylines that's being pushed out by the media because now they are the team that's arrived. They arrived this past year. So I think we'll see those conversations grow. I just think not much is really going to change. Like he's going to get better, but I think he's already at that level now. More people are just going to catch on to the train this upcoming year. Yeah.
Do you think super random question? Do you think Shea is better than Jason Tatum?
Yes.
Okay. I was just curious.
Actually, unfortunately. Like, let me not say like, I say easily, and that's not to say that the gap is crazy large, but it's like I'm taking Shea right now.
I literally just asked. I'm just putting like I'm just ranking in my brain, and I'm just like trying to fit like see where me personally where I fit Shea in. I was just curious. Yeah. I didn't even have like an answer. I was just curious. So,
would you take him over Tatum?
I think so. I think I'd take. I did like. If the problem is if Tatum's like. What he can do was if he was just more consistent, like he can be in that convo. He's just too inconsistent. That's his main problem. And I don't mean to make this a Tatum convo.
No, but look, at this point, that has to become a part of your player profile.
Right, like, exactly.
If the consistency is an issue for multiple seasons, like that's something we have to factor in. We factor it in with Joel because like sometimes I don't know what I'm going to see from you in the playoffs. We factor in with Harden because it's like sometimes you don't appear in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
So not.
Like I used to be a guy that used to be like, I don't want to do that because like I know what he can be, but it's like at some point you are what you are.
Right.
And
y'all won it. And
it was good
still
enough to win a
inconsistent.
championship, right? So it's like it's no shade there. But yeah, sometimes, bro, and I still to this day will always every time Tatum comes up, right, the shot selection irks me sometimes. I'm tired of seeing the sidestep three freaking 10 times a game, bro. You're 6'10. Use the body, get downhill.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would take Shea over Tatum. So I mean, we could do this right now. Like, would you take? You're not taking Shea over Jokic, right?
No.
Are you taking Shea over Embiid?
I think Embiid is a better basketball player. Like
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of like with the Masters thing. Like if Embiid had one run, like Embiid is in that convo. So
But we don't have to be a part of the Masters. Are you taking it?
That's true. That is true. That is true. I'm taking Embiid. I'm taking Embiid, with his struggles.
You said you already got Luka ahead, right? So that's 3 right there. Does he just slot in next? Like, what is the next conversation piece there? Like,
I think so, because if I'm taking him ahead of Tatum, I don't think Ant is in that. Like,
right?
I think it's too young for like Ant.
LeBron,
it's not even like
are you taking Shea or LeBron?
See, this is what's weird.
One season.
If I get a full, see, that's the problem though. Like, if you can guarantee me, I can get a fully healthy 1 season of LeBron. I'm taking him over a lot of these guys. I'm gonna be honest with you, because like, bro, I will take him over a lot of these guys. I still won't take him over like Jokic. Like, I'm not that crazy, but yeah, right now, is Shea better than LeBron? I hate these questions with the old guys. The old guys is what messes it up. Like him and Steph is like, I think that's so hard.
This is why I said the off season all about these conversations.
Yo, this is a hard question. I think I would. I know. Put it this way: 7-game series to just lead. I don't care about who else is on the team to lead me in a 7-game series. I think I still take LeBron.
Fully healthy.
Like if he's fully healthy, 7-game series. This is my main guy. As of today, I think I still take LeBron. That could change literally tomorrow. Like
fully healthy right now today, July 26, 2024. 7-game series. No injuries are turned off. Jokic, LeBron. Nobody else outside of Jokic is who I am taking in a 7-game series.
But see, that's
the
problem.
Man is 40.
That is the problem, because that's not how basketball is. It's not like fully healthy 7-game series. Like there's a season that goes into it. There's the youth plays a factor. Like this stuff that goes into it. That's the problem with ranking like LeBron right now, ranking Steph right now, even ranking KD right now. Even though I think he's a little bit lower down at this point in his career, like. Where do they slot in? Because you, in your head, you like, this is LeBron James we're talking about.
Right.
But it's like, over a course of a season, like everything factored into it, like he's not better than some of these guys right now.
Right.
But like you said, 7-game series, no injuries. Right. Give me Bron.
That's
you know
such
what
a
I mean?
specific, like
exactly.
Talking a full season, I know I'm getting up and down. He ain't trying on defense.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like 7-game series. That's 0 dark 30. LeBron locks in.
Because even his age goes into, like you said, the energy factor, like the trying on defense. Like that plays a factor into it. With a younger guy, like he's locked in the whole season, like sitting in the chair. Bron's not sitting in that chair the whole season, bro. He can give you spurts.
Maybe a rocking chair, but not.
He can give you spurts, but he ain't gonna give you 82 plus playoffs. I'm sitting in the chair like all defensive team type. He not doing that. So
yeah.
But that's I think that's where Shea slots in though. Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Embiid.
Giannis. Oh my gosh, how do we not even bring his name?
You didn't say Giannis?
No.
I thought you said Giannis.
But Giannis 100%.
Oh yeah, I'm taking Giannis for sure. Yeah, to me it's Jokic, Giannis, like Luka. I think that's how it is for me. Then it's Embiid right there. So I think Shea is 5 because I wouldn't take. Oh no, I did say LeBron, but I don't know, man. Give me Shea for now. Like I said, it could change so much if we just talk about a whole season. I think Shea slots in there though at 5. Worst case 6. Yeah, because I can't think of nobody else I would take over him.
Giannis, I think, is low-key quietly coming a little underrated too at this point. Because again, I think similarly to Luka, he's a guy that's like he's gonna walk up, he's gonna put up 30 plus points, 11 plus rebounds, like 1.5 blocks, couple assists, ridiculous stat line, but he's doing it so many years in a row. People are just like, that's Giannis.
You just
It's
get
like,
so
that's
numb to
not
it.
normal, bro. He's a freak for a reason. Like,
bro, it's like just how many years ago was it? After they won the chip, it was, Giannis is the best player in the league, undisputed. Like, this is his era. He's about to
he
go on a
was.
dynasty. Like, this is him. Then Jokic wins one. It's like, oh, we're gonna forget about Giannis. And I guarantee you, if Luka won this championship, this is Luka's era. He's the best player in the league. Like, he beat the Timberwolves, and Jokic couldn't beat the Timberwolves. He's the best player in the league. Like, it would have just flipped, which I think is cool as far as like parity and stuff like that in conversation. Yeah. But I agree with you when you're saying this, when you say like me personally, I don't like throwing around best player in the league
right
so loosely. Like, you remember in like 2016, like people view best player in the league of like who had the best season, which I don't like.
No,
that. Like,
I view it the same way as like I view it similarly to like the face of the league conversation, where it's like once you get it, it's hard to lose that. You know what I mean?
To me, like, because there's people that be like, oh, 2016, Steph was the best player in the league, and then
nobody was having these conversations, and that's what really gets me. Is like y'all try to do this revisionist history. It's like, bro, at the time, anywhere from like 2010 up until like 2018, it's LeBron. There's no end of conversation, bro.
That's what I was gonna say, because some people, they be like Steph 2016, but then KD had it in 17, 18, then Kawhi in 19, he was the best player. No, bro, it was my memory of watching basketball. It was Bron up until, to me, it was up until like 2021. Like,
I was just about to ask you this question, because in my head it goes Bron, whenever you want to say he fully took over that point of being the best player in the league, all the way up until like this last year in Cleveland. And then I think Giannis's ascension there, and then obviously
he wasn't better though. I don't think Giannis didn't take best player in the league until he won the championship.
No, that's what I'm about to say. Like he's on that trajectory, and then that last season, then the finals performance, like, yeah. Right now, he's the best player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jokic has his, at that same time, right? Like, Jokic is now starting to stack MVPs.
Right.
Jokic has his run. Jokic starts doing stuff we've never seen a center do before. I'm looking at like, man, Giannis still in that combo, but I think he might have just passed him up.
Right.
And that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm not about to be like, man, I think Luka was the MVP. No, that's not, you can't, that is not something that just flip-flops year to year to me, unless maybe one year I'm going to see something that's going to change my mind so drastically that I'm going to have to make that call. But to me, like, once you are the best player in the league, in my mind, that is like you're good for a couple years.
Right, you're stamped. You at least bare minimum. Actually, yeah, I can't say that because Giannis had it for like a year, but for the most part, you have like at least a couple year window. But yeah, to me, like I said, it was. Well, I'm a Lakers fan, so growing up, like 09, 10, it was Kobe. Kobe had that for a little bit, but for the most part, it was Bron. Then I don't care what happened, lost in the finals. This guy had an MVP. I don't care. It was Bron up until 2021. Then it was Giannis. Then it was Jokic.
And now it's Jokic.
It's Jokic. That's it, bro. Like, there's not the back and forth. What I can say is I would love to see a Denver-Milwaukee finals so they can really just who really the best player in the league. Like, we could really have that combo. Whoever win that, they got it. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie. Whoever win that, they got it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
I'm with it. I like that. I like that. See, look, man, this the offseason, you don't get these types of conversations when you got games to talk about. You know,
this was a top 10 point guards list. We talking about Tatum, Giannis, LeBron legacy. I will say though, I cannot wait for the shooting guards list because I'm just curious, like, because it could be a lot of switch up on that list.
No, it's gonna be a lot of switch up.
It could be a lot, even at the top. It could be.
Mm-hmm. It's a conversation.
It's conversation for some guys at the top. So I can't wait for that one. That one gonna be fun.
All right, so y'all better stay tuned. Y'all better keep catching it off the glass.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, I was literally driving today, and that came in my head. I was like, that's got to be it. That's got to be the one.
That's the one.
Breaking news: Tyus paid quarterback in NFL history contract just got doled out to Jordan Love. And that's actually a great segue because for the little TikTok short segment we have to wrap up the podcast, we have a little game. Who makes more? NBA NFL edition.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give you an NFL player and an NBA player, and I need you to tell me whose contract is bigger. We're pocket watching.
Oh,
That's
God.
essentially what we're doing.
This is about to be nasty because it's going to be some wild ones up here.
And I picked some good matchups. Just know that.
God. All right, bet. And this is great because I don't be knowing people's contracts. So this is like just great.
Yeah, and this is based on their total contract value. So not their year-to-year salary, not just guaranteed money, the total value of their contract, which I'm assuming includes money they might not get, but is a part of the deal if they hit certain, marks. So I'm just making that caveat out there. So who makes more? NFL versus NBA edition. The first matchup I have for you. Who makes more? Jared Goff or Paul George?
That's a good one to start with. I'm not gonna lie, because Jared Goff just got paid. Paul just new like with the Sixers.
Everything is up to date as of today. Shout out Sport Track. They keep it updated.
I gotta go Paul George. Even though Jared Goff signed something crazy, I gotta be Paul George, right?
It is Jared Goff.
Wow.
$500,000.
Okay. I'm about to say that's a good one. I feel like that one was mad close.
Okay,
that was a little tough with his new deal. Okay, I got you.
Next one. Who makes more? Daniel Jones or Kawhi Leonard?
That's so gross. Like, that is so gross. Daniel Jones or Kawhi? Daniel Jones make 40 M's a year. Kawhi. I'm gonna go Kawhi.
It's Daniel Jones.
Wow. Oh my God.
And of everybody that I have on this list, it's actually the biggest cap. 10 million more.
Wow.
Than Kawhi Leonard total contract value.
That's crazy. Okay. Wow. Oh, damn.
Daniel Jones.
I'm gonna say Daniel Jones. Like, come on,
making
bro.
more than future Hall of Famer Kawhi Leonard.
That's insane, bro. Like, insane. Quarterback is the only position in the NFL where like their money's kind of crazy. Like, that's the only position.
Quarterback bag is nuts. Next one I have for you here. Who makes more, AJ Brown or Terry Rozier?
AJ Brown just signed an extension, but his extension was
he just got paid.
He just got an extension for I think it was like 100. So it was something like that. I forgot. Terry Rozier though. I gotta say AJ Brown.
It was close to 100. I'll give you that if that gives you any context for help.
AJ Brown gotta make more money. No, give me Terry Rozier.
It is Terry Rozier by $250,000.
I was just gonna say never mind. I remember his contract a little bit better. Literally, as I was saying the sentence, it was Terry Rozier, which is insane.
It's nuts. Next one I have for you, a couple of older veterans. Who makes more, Kirk Cousins or Damian Lillard?
Kirk or Damian Lillard. Kirk was for 180, wasn't it? It was something like that.
Yeah, he got the bag.
It was for 180, I think. Dame gotta make. I'm going Damian Lillard.
It is Kirk Cousins by $4 million.
What? Oh my! Yo, every time it's a quarterback, I'm just gonna be like, it's the quarterback, bro. It's the quarterback. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. The next one I have for you here. Who makes more, Jalen Waddle or Dylan Brooks?
Jalen Waddle or Dylan Brooks? I'm going Jalen Waddle.
It's Dylan Brooks.
Oh my God, bro. God, yo, bro.
1.25 million more.
Oh my God, I'm getting cooked. Jalen just signed his extension. He did get it back because the Rockets had mad cap space, so they just had to give him back. I remember people complaining
90 mil, something crazy like that.
Yeah, I remember people complaining, oh, you gave Dylan Brooks, blah, 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 blah. I remember that.
Yeah, and then so the contract, I think, is like front loaded, so it's like he's getting paid less as the years go on. But look, I says going off total value and his total contract value, over $1 million higher than Jalen Waddles. Your Steelers. Who makes more, TJ Watt or RJ Barrett? One is a defensive player of the year candidate, and one just got traded.
I still feel like RJ Barrett. I just think that's basketball. I'm gonna go RJ Barrett.
This one is actually TJ Watt.
God damn.
I'm keeping you on your toes.
I'm like, bro, I can't catch a break here. God, thank you. I'm glad I was wrong on that one. I'm happy TJ Watt makes more than RJ Barrett. Thank you.
Yeah, TJ Watt makes about $5 million more in total contract value over RJ. Next one I have for you here. Who makes more, Tyreek Hill or Julius Randle? One is arguably has a case to maybe be the best receiver in the NFL. The other guy just got his alpha chain snatched with the Knicks.
Tyreek Hill. It got to be Tyreek Hill.
It is Tyreek by $3 million.
It got to be Tyreek Hill, man. Oh, but he signed because he had set the market for receivers at one point.
It is Tyreek Hill. Got a couple more here for you. The next one, who makes more, Jalen Hurts or Bradley Beal? They both recently got a bag. Whose bag is bigger?
Bradley Beal is the GOAT bag chaser, bro. Right. I'm going Bradley Beal just off the strength. Like, it got to be Brad Beal. He's chased a bag.
Band for band, Jalen Hurts got $4 million more than Bradley Beal.
I was going to say, Bradley Beal is a professional bag chaser, bro. I was going to guess him regardless. I was going to go down with the ship.
At this point in his career, that is nuts. Jalen Hurts is a guy that was just in the Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago and is on the up and up. Bradley Beal is kind of on the down and down, like, unfortunately, and in a bad situation. And that contract got a no trade clause in it.
Exactly. I was just about to say, and it had a no trade clause. Like, what are we doing here?
Another good one I got for you here. Who makes more, DK Metcalf or Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. Another bag chaser.
$3 million more, right?
Yeah.
Went to the Pistons for that bread.
Tim Hardaway Jr. I knew that one.
And boy, oh boy, do I have a good last one here for you.
Oh my God, this is about to be gross. I can feel it.
Who makes more, Nick Bosa or Ben Simmons? And I'll tell you right now, the difference is $7 million. So there's a decent little gap one way or the other. And they're both high 6-figure contracts.
Nick Bosa or Ben Simmons? I know Nick Bosa makes about 35 a year over, I'm assuming, 4 years.
DPOY conversations? Played in a couple
back
years.
Spasms.
Got his phone in his pocket at practice.
and Ben Simmons was with the Knicks. Not Knicks. With the Nets.
Yep.
$7 million difference between it. Ben Simmons. I gotta go Ben Simmons. I feel like it's Nick Bosa, but the basketball. Wait, no. They really couldn't get. I'm going Nick Bosa. Just off the strength. He's just the DPOY. It gotta be Nick Bosa. Come on, bro.
Ben Simmons makes $7 million more dollars in his total contract
should have went with my gut.
Than Nick Bosa. The direct number for context here, Ben Simmons is a 29th still after all the contracts that have been signed since then. He is still the 29th highest paid player in the National Basketball Association. Total contract value of one. It's crazy that this is this specific. $177,243,360.
That's gross.
Yeah, Nick Bosa sits at around 170 million flat, and he's the 13th highest rated or highest paid, player in the NFL.
Listen, if you learn anything from this, it's if you're over 6'6", play basketball because you don't have to be that good compared to your league mates, compared to the NBA,
right,
to make more than some of the best football players of all time.
DK Metcalf is like a generation 1 of 1 athletic build, like for combination of size and speed. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. just casually like kind of
he just shoots threes. Yeah,
right. Just a streaky shooter can't get time in the playoffs. It makes more bread than you.
Don't got to go through the wear and tear of getting cracked, getting hit in every single play, CTE. Listen, man, basketball is the way to go. If you got the height and the ability, it's no choice between football or basketball, man.
All right, one of these days, you don't know any soccer players, do you?
Not a damn.
I was about to say we might have to do the NBA to soccer contract.
I'll do it to you. I'll do it to you because I can't. I'll look it up and then I'll compare it. But if you asking me, I'm gonna guess soccer every time. I'm gonna be like they make bread. So I'm gonna guess soccer.
Bro, have you seen what some of the biggest soccer contracts recently are?
Yeah, isn't there one for like 700 M's or something crazy like that?
Bro, Ronaldo is getting paid 260 M's for this year.
That don't even. How do y'all have so much money? That's insane.
That is specifically because he went to go play in Saudi Arabia and they have bread.
That's still crazy. You're gonna pay him a year?
Yeah, 260 million. That 1 year single season salary would be the tied for the 5th largest contract in the NFL right now, tied with Lamar.
That's insane, bro. He makes that in a year. A year.
Single year is crazy.
Nuts. I just need a couple M's. I don't need all that. Just you slide me a couple M's. I don't need all that.
I guess Messi's, I don't know if his full deal is weird because like you can see what the money is, but part of his deal is that like I don't think this has ever happened before. He gets like part of their TV rights. It's like the MLS signed a deal with I think Apple TV like broadcast the games, and so it's like he was like, if I'm coming to the MLS, I have to see a cut of that. And so like they just like cut him on the side on top of his salary.
Because isn't he in some like lower league or something like that?
Yeah, because he played in America. We stink.
I'm weak because I don't know much about soccer, but I know that one. I know it was like a big deal when he went to play in Miami.
Yeah, and it's actually like he came down here and started playing on like rookie difficulty. That's literally what the blueprint is for a couple of years now. Like people they play in like England or Spain or Italy, whatever. It's like you ball out over there, you start getting older, you start slipping. Obviously, their talent is top tier. And so it's like eventually when you feel like you're not the guy anymore, you can just come to America on whatever team you want and be the best player in the MLS off the rip. But there is a guy
and still making a bag because like if you could do that in the league,
yeah, and you're making more than anybody else already.
That's fire because of like LeBron was like, I'm slipping. Jokic, the guy Giannis.
Go to the Euro League.
Let me go to the Euro League real quick, but still make the crazy money. Yeah, I would dig. That's smart. That's smart to me.
If you there's a guy, he's from Sweden. His last name is Ibrahimovic. He was getting older in Italy. Came in his first game playing in the MLS, which is the American League, and like scored from like 40 yards out, like within like the first 5 minutes of being on the field. It's literally like they're playing on rookie. It's this is children's game to them.
Who's the GOAT soccer player?
I feel like the conversation is limited, at least to our generation, of just Messi or Ronaldo, and then it comes down to whatever you like more. It honestly feels like how people debate Jordan versus LeBron. People have those same type of heated arguments between those two. People that are older, I feel like throw in a lot of other people that
Pele. I heard that.
Right, Pele a lot. People, I feel like I've seen people throw in like Ronaldinho. There's another Ronaldo that played for Brazil back in the day. I feel like I've seen his name tossed around. Maradona used to play in like the 70s. He was the GOAT Argentinian player. I think people might put Messi in front of him. I don't know. I don't have a beat on what soccer fans be feeling. I just know in our generation, it's Messi or Ronaldo is the Jordan LeBron.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and a lot of people switched, not necessarily either switch sides or people that already were like Messi's the GOAT. Once he won the World Cup, they were like, and I told you.
It's stamped.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, if there's anything to take away, kids, if you're watching this, bro, go out in the driveway, shoot a basketball. Put that pigskin down.
Listen, girl, listen, you're going to get a basketball. You're going to put it in a plastic bag, work on your handles. That's what you're going to do. Then you're going to go shoot 1,000 shots.
Right.
That's what
Only
you're gonna do.
threes. Don't
Only
step in front of the line.
for
What are you
what?
doing?
For what, bro? All you need to do is be able to knock down a three. And what you're going to do is defensive slides, move your feet so you can
Right.
be 3 and D. What?
You're locked in. 150 M's, easy.
Right. Matter of fact, never mind. Don't dribble. You don't need. What do you? We don't need to dribble. Matter of fact, no. 3 and D. And on defense, we're here.
Right.
That's all you need. 3 and D.
That's what I'm good. You good for about 150 M's. You're gonna set your kids up for life.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be good. That's all you need
Don't
to
be.
do.
Oh, you 7 foot, brother. Block a shot, get a board. You're
Right.
chilling, bro.
Set a screen,
For
run to
real.
the rim. That's all I need out of you.
For real.
Yeah, it's easy, man. We give you out of the blueprint for free, so
For
we
real,
start
man.
working on it now.
100%.
With that, though, that is going to do it for episode 63 of the Off the Glass podcast. We're going to go through every position like we did last year. Obviously, shooting guard is coming through next. I was going to ask you, I kind of feel like we should do point guard, shooting guard, and then just like top 20 wings and then top 20
I'm cool with that.
bigs, because power forward and small forward kind of don't exist no more.
No, it don't. It's like it's too like, yeah, I agree with that. I think we should do that.
So let me ask you this. Is Giannis a wing or a big?
He's a
Right. That's the biggest. When I was thinking through that, that was the first thing that came to my head. And I'm like, I can hear the argument either way.
He's a power forward. So wing.
That's kind of where my gut goes too. Because like when I think big, I'm thinking like Jokic, Embiid,
Giannis, yeah.
Gobert,
Anthony
Cat,
Davis. Even though Anthony Davis, he's
AD.
transitioned more into a center.
I would say AD is more of a big than a wing.
Is Bam a big now?
Bam is a big. I would say, I'm trying to think of other guys who might teeter one way or the other.
Oh, if we're talking about like tweeners,
like I would say Draymond is a wing.
Yes, they just have him play big. Yeah, he's a wing though.
Yeah.
Like they just make him play big because they always short as shit.
Right. Sabonis is a big. Vucevic is a big. We can figure it out, but we'll get it ironed out.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, if you made it through this whole episode, as always, we appreciate you. Be sure to drop a like on the video if you're on YouTube. If you are on audio platforms, be sure to drop a 5-star review. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you're listening to the best basketball podcast out there. Continue to keep catching it off the glass.
Yes, sir.